94 Rocks the Dark. Jay-Z hanging out with you here, and I'm hanging out with a guy that I know very well, and I'm talking about Marty McCoy. He is the singer from the band The Lonely Ones. And first of all, Marty, it's great to hear your voice once again. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to hear your voice. It's been a minute, huh?
It has been a little bit. And, of course, for our listeners that are listening, The Lonely Ones is a new project that you kind of have, which you started back in 2019. Get us up to speed here on how this project all came about.
Okay, so my brother, Sean, he and I and Tommy and Jimmy were all Bobaflex. And at a certain point in time, Bobaflex was touring insanely, and my brother wanted to, be home with the family. And we understood. The rest of us didn't have children, and we were like, okay, we get it. It's heartbreaking, but you got to do what's best for you. So when he decided to do that, the rest of us still got it in us, and we decided, it doesn't seem right without Sean, so let's start a new band and do something new and exciting and fun. And we did. We started the Lonely Ones, recorded, 16 songs, and got everything ready to go, and then the global pandemic hit. And came to a screeching halt. So that was our first obstacle. And I remember looking at the guys in the face and was like, we can get through this. And I think we got a future ahead of us, guys. And here we are. We made it to the other side.
You got to ask the name. How did you come up with the name?
It was it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you're out on the road and you dedicate your life to music, things at home, they don't stay the same, and you become it just kind of made sense at that time. It's like my brother was leaving the band, and a lot of things were happening in my life, and it just felt kind of like it just kind of shot out of the stars into my brain, and I said it out of my mouth, and the band was like, "That's perfect."
And
you're kind of loners out there, you got your gang of guys in the band, but you come back home and there's a new McDonald's and the Kroger's is closed and someone's overdosed and someone's had a baby, and just life just continues without you while you're on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear that. So let's talk about the music a little bit. Of course, obviously, Bobaflex for many years. Is there much of a change, I guess, in how you guys have approached things now, going from Bobaflex to the Lonely Ones? Is there something that you want to kind of incorporate differently now? I guess kind of talk us through that process a little bit.
Yeah, so writing is definitely different. Jimmy was with Bobaflex, but he always kind of felt like his influence and stuff we didn't do this on purpose. It just kind of happened, whereas his influences were kind of on the back burner a little bit. It was, so the newer guys, the guys, this is their band from the beginning. It's not a band that they came into. This is their project just as much as it is mine and Tommy's. So they have a lot more influence. And I feel like that's steered the direction. It's definitely opened me up into singing in different ways and thinking about music in different ways, because their influences are very strong and they're very opinionated and very passionate about it. And it's just a new, as much as it is, Tommy and I have played together since I was 11 years old. These guys bring this fresh, new kind of feel to it. So, yeah, it's definitely different. I don't think it sounds like Bobaflex. I mean, I think there's hints in there, and there's going to be hints in there because I was in that band. But I think it's different, and it's exciting to write in a new, different way and have other people's, that are totally different influences than me bring ideas to the table. I'm really enjoying every second of it.
That's awesome. Now, I'm assuming that you've probably brought over a lot of Bobaflex fans to the Lonely Ones now. Am I correct on that?
That would be correct. We have the greatest fans in the world, and they followed us.
Yeah, and I guess how are they responding, I guess, to the new flavor, the new sound, even though it's, you're up there, Jimmy's there, Tommy's back on the drums, but how are they feeling with this new vibe?
Really great, actually. I mean, there's people that like, I hate it, and it's the worst band ever, go back to Bobaflex. And then there's other people that I like this better, and then there's people that like, I'll follow you anywhere. And then we're reaching a lot of new people that never even heard of Bobaflex.
Right.
So it's definitely a separate entity altogether. And some people were confused. I still get messages, well, why'd you change your name and what's going on? And so yeah, it's definitely different, but we've had a lot of really hardcore fans and a lot of people that I call friends support us and say, oh, I'll follow you anywhere. And that really means a lot to us.
Well, we're one right here on 94 Rocks that supports the Lonely Ones. We've been supporting Bobaflex. We're definitely going to support the Lonely Ones. Let's talk about rock radio and that a little bit. I guess, starting out now with a new band. Yes, you guys were in an old band. Has that helped you at all to get some airplay, or has this really been a kind of a grassroots start all over thing again?
Absolutely helped. I've met so many people through Bobaflex that, I can call up and say, hey, what's going on? They're like, hey, it's good to hear your voice. And definitely, it's definitely the relationships that we built over, those many years have stayed strong and been really awesome to us. So, there's been some things where it's like, we didn't get as much as we would have putting out a new single in Bobaflex, but we've had a lot of people open their doors and open their arms and be like I said, love you, man. I'll play your song. So it's been really, really cool.
You mentioned when we started this interview, obviously the band started in 19, the pandemic happened. What did you guys, I guess, do during that time, during the pandemic, and how did you get through, I guess?
Yeah, it was bizarre. So we had this whole plan, release a single every 2 months, release a video every 2 months, and we were right on track. The day we had it all backlogged. And the day that we released our first single was when they shut the United States down. So it was like we had this stuff backlogged and we were ahead of the curve, and it just kind of slowed down. We released probably 4 songs, and the schedule I had worked out. It was amazing, and it just kind of got cut dead. So we were, the 4 songs that we had, they came out, and we thought that would be a good thing to do. People are stuck in their homes once the Tiger King is over, and then they're going to have nothing to do. So we're like, it's our job to release music and give them something to look forward to. But that, that schedule got cut short because we weren't able to go to studios and we weren't able to go to rehearsal and we weren't able to be out and touring to fund everything. So we just kind of did what we could do, is put our masks on, made sure that we stayed away from everybody, and then got together with each other and wrote and recorded and did everything we could. It's like, okay, if we're can't go on the road, and let's use this time to create music and use these emotions. Everybody was scared. I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. I felt like the end of the world for a while. So it made for some really good songs, and made you're able to dive in deep and look inside yourself and write things that you wouldn't write before because you're looking at things differently. So we used it to the best of our. We did the best we could, and tried not to waste, if we're locked down, let's use this lockdown time to be, crazy mad scientists in the rehearsal space in the studio.
We're talking to Marty McCoy. He's the lead singer of the band, the Lonely Ones. I am curious about, obviously, Bobaflex love touring, and I know you guys probably love to do that, but how difficult was that to have to wait to get out and tour again?
It was really weird. So as much as we used to tour, I was in really good shape. And it's a different kind of shape, being on stage, your lungs are opened up, you're singing every night. To go, once the pandemic was over and we were able to tour, I had this weird depressed thing. Is anyone going to care about this band? Am I going to be able to do this again? And it took, probably a good 2 months of rehearsing 6 hours, 7 hours a day, where I even felt like my wind was up enough to be able to perform these songs. As the lead singer now, I'm handling all the lead vocals. Mm-hmm. So it was a scary thing. I was out of shape, and I mean, I kind of knew it. I could, logically, I was like, okay, this makes sense. But it was really tough getting back into shape and getting back into that touring mode, and then getting back into being used to driving all night and being at radio at 7 a.m. and being able to pull all these things off all day that I was so used to before and hadn't done for 2 years now. It took a minute to get whipped back into shape. It took a lot longer than I would have liked it to.
Now, recently, in 2022, you guys released a song, I believe it was back in either March or April, called No Way Out. How did that do on rock radio for you guys?
Pretty good. It was a pretty harsh subject matter.
Exactly. But that's why I was curious about that.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised that a lot of stations picked it up and started spinning it. I've always liked controversial songs. So, that's not, we don't censor ourselves. Is Walmart going to pick this up? They don't sell CDs anymore, so not have to worry about that. But, I always thought, if you're going to say something, let's go big or go home, and people embraced it. And it's a pretty personal song. So every time I hear it, I'm like, oh man, I was in a bad place when I wrote that. But,
Right.
that's kind of therapeutic to get it out there and let people hear it. And then when people start to tell you that, hey, I know what you mean when you wrote that song. It's like I said, it's like putting it on a sheet of paper and letting it fly out into the universe. It's kind of really therapeutic, and it helps. And then that feeling kind of goes away.
Absolutely. And then now currently in less than a month ago, you released your latest song called Bedroom Door. And I'm very curious about this because I did see a little write-up this week from you saying about you could look at this one of two ways, just depends on which way you want to look at it.
Yeah, so, the opposite sex is very confusing at times. And it's like, you ask for consent before you kiss someone, which is the proper thing to do because you don't just, but at the same time, does it ruin the passionate movie scene where you just, that kind of thing? It's like, it's very confusing. It's like if you're attractive and this kind of you go after what you want thing is awesome. If you're not attractive, it's creepy. So that was, you know what I mean? If it's me, I'm like,
never been in that situation before, Marty. I'm just saying, never.
Like he pushed me against the wall and he kissed me so passionately. That's magical if you're Brad Pitt. But if you're me, it's like, ooh, he pushed me against the wall and tried to kiss me. So it's hard,
I hear you.
We all have these fantasies, but it's like, I just thought it was a cool play on words. It's like, is this song about, a beautiful man that's passionately kissing you, or is this about a stalker? It can play out either way that you want to, and I love those double-sided, double-edged swords where you got to listen to the lyrics and figure out how, what experience does this pertain to for you as a listener.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, I know there's a lot of people that would love to see the Lonely Ones here in Minnesota, so I got to ask, and I got to believe that at some point you're going to make a stop here. So what is the future for the Lonely Ones and their touring schedule?
We are hitting the road hard come January. After Christmas, everybody will settle down, open their presents, spend time with their family, and then hit the road as hard as we can. And we are not afraid of the snow in Minnesota, so we'll be out there in January and February.
That sounds
awesome.
Four-wheel
drive.
Yeah, and we'll take you ice fishing too for a while. How's that?
I've never done that before. I'm into that. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. The best thing about it is you got a pole in one hand and you've got a drink in the other, and it's all good.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know you Midwesterners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it works out.
I try to explain to my friends, okay, you don't understand the culture around drinking in the Midwest. It's like I think there's certain places in Wisconsin that you're allowed 2 drinks on your lunch break. I don't know if that's still a thing, but it used to be.
Wisconsin, they're crazy. I will admit that is a party state. That is a party state. I've been there a bunch, been to a lot of different shows, and a show at Wisconsin to a show in Minnesota is completely different.
It absolutely is. But, that's the good thing. The Midwest still has great radio stations and independent radio stations that can play whatever they want. And the Midwest for rock in the United States is like, the Midwest is the Europe of the United States for rock and roll. It's still alive and well with great radio stations. The land's flat, so the signals scream across the landscape, and you guys are really, really keeping rock alive out there. And it's one of I know that all the bands that I know across the United States, the Midwest is their favorite places to play.
I appreciate it, and amen to you, brother. Hey, if people want more information about the Lonely Ones, how can they get that info?
Type in the Lonely Ones, and the guys with the cool long hair pop up. That's us.
And you're not stalkers, right?
No, hopefully not.
It's all good. Hey, we're going to play your latest song, Bedroom Door. Marty, it was a lot of fun talking to you again. Have a great holidays, and hopefully we'll see you in 2023.
All right. right. Thank you guys so much for always having our back. You're amazing.
Once again, that's Marty McCoy, the lead singer of the band The Lonely Ones. Their latest song is called Bedroom Door. You're hearing it now. It's on the dark. It's on 90.